People still argue about who built the pyramids. Slaves, aliens, lost civilization, take your pick. But in 2013, somebody found the answer. It was written down 4,500 years ago by a man who was there. Almost nobody knows it exists. The find didn't happen in Giza. It happened at the Red Sea coast, over 100 miles east. A French team was excavating an old harbor. They weren't looking for anything to do with pyramids. They were digging up a port. The Egyptians had cut storage caves into the rock. When a sea voyage finished, they took the boats apart and stored the pieces inside. Then they sealed the entrances with stone. Buried in front of those sealed caves were sheets of papyrus. They turned out to be the oldest written documents ever found. Nothing older with text on it has ever turned up anywhere. And it's not scripture, it's not poetry, it's not a king's proclamation. It's invoices, a bunch of blue-collar workers filing paperwork, like a union. The best preserved sheets belong to a man called Mir. His job title translates as inspector, middle management. He supervised a crew of about 40 boatmen. He wasn't important. Nobody built him a monument. We only know he existed because his paperwork survived in a sealed cave for 4,500 years. His job was simple. Take the crew to the quarry at Tura, load white limestone onto boats, sell it down the Nile to Giza, unload, go back. That's it. That was the job. Here's 4 days of it. Day 25, spend the day with his crew hauling stones from Tura South, spend the night at Tura South. Day 26, cast off, loaded with stone, headed for the pyramids. Day 27, still sailing, still loaded, spends the night at the pyramid. Day 28, cast off in the morning, sails back upriver to the quarry. That's a timesheet. And here's the thing, we have the numbers. 2 or 3 round trips every 10 days, around 30 blocks a trip, 2 to 3 tons each, roughly 200 blocks a month from one crew. The surviving record runs from about July to November, and there were a lot of crews. People like to say the math doesn't work, that it's 1 block a second. No human could do that. It's not 1 a second, not close. 2.3 million blocks over 20 years, working 10 hours a day, comes out to about 1 block every 2 minutes. And that's the whole site. Not one man, dozens of crews, all going at once. Mir's diary lets you check it. His crew logged about 200 blocks a month. To hit the total, you'd need something like 48 crews working at the same time, about 1,900 men on hauling. That's a normal number. That's just a large employer. One of the entries isn't about stone at all. A boat gets sent up the river to a city. Its job is to collect food and bring it back to the workers. They had a supply run. Somebody's entire job was feeding the pyramid crew. The world's first Uber Eats, 4,500 years ago. The diary also gives the pyramid its real name, Akit Khufu. It means horizon of Khufu. We call it the Great Pyramid, a wonder of the world. He called it a place where he dropped the stone off. Now the part most videos leave out. This doesn't explain how the blocks were lifted or placed. It's about moving stone, not building with it. It doesn't actually say what the limestone was for. Researchers think to smooth outer casing based on the timing and type of stone. The diary doesn't spell it out. And it's one crew a few months near the end of a job that took decades. It's a window, not the whole building. And while we're here, you'll hear that no mummy has ever been found in the pyramid. It's half right. The Great Pyramid is empty. Khufu's sarcophagus is sitting there with nothing in it. It was robbed a very long time ago. But remains have been found in other pyramids, and the Valley of Kings is 1,000 years later. Different era, different kings. The reason they stopped building pyramids is that pyramids kept getting robbed. So the answer turned up in 2013, a middle manager's timesheet in a sealed cave on the wrong side of the country. And what it shows isn't a mystery, it's a job site. Rotas, deliveries, a supply run for lunch, somebody counting blocks and writing it down, the biggest building on earth, and the paperwork looks like a haulage firm. That's the answer. It just isn't as good a story as aliens, so nobody passed it on.